a discount, client is gonna have to still come out of pocket to fix it. And before the closing, FHA is gonna say, you guys need to fix X, Y, and Z. And now we're here, hey, we gave you the credit already. Repair the house, but I can't repair the house if the house is not mine. So it gets a little bit tricky. So knowing the loan that you're using, a conventional, they don't care much. It just, the property needs to be functional. They don't care if a wall is falling down or chip paint or anything like that. FHA does, right? Broken window, conventional doesn't care about that. So you want to make sure that you do that. So we did the inspection, right? Let's say that the inspection, we found a couple of things that our client wants to be repaired. Let's just create a few. Normally things I see is the electrical panel will have double taps. That's two cables going into the same breaker, right? That's not supposed to be that way. You want to create an addendum where it says, after the seller had the opportunity to perform an inspection, and after the inspection report, the following item came back as defective. The seller agrees to repair or replace the following. And you want to be very specific when you're doing this. So let's say we want to say windows, right? We say windows, 2 points. Seller to repair or replace window, first floor, bedroom number 1, right? You want to be very specific. Seller to repair broken window. Which broken window? The house has, 30 windows. Which one of those, right? Be very specific when you ask for stuff. Seller to repair electrical panel on unit 1. It's a multi-family. There's a double tap there. Be very specific. Let's say you're asking for a roof. The roof is already done, right? It needs a new roof. You will say the same thing, roof. Seller to replace or repair a roof with a licensed contractor. Licensed contractor is going to get up there. He's not going to do a Mickey Mouse job because it's his license on the job. He's going to say, hey, this roof, there's nothing I can do to stop this leak because it's just way beyond its life. We need a new roof, right? That's what normally a good contractor will say. We did the repair addendum. We have our buyer sign it. Always the buyer sign the documents. Any document, buyer goes first, seller goes last, right? We send it to the listing agent and we say, hey, after the inspection, the following items came back as defective. What I always do is that I send that agent a copy, not of the full report, because it belongs to the buyer, right? You ask the buyer permission, hey, I'm going to be sharing the pages where it talks about what we're requesting. So page number 9 talks about the roof. All right, I'm only sending page 9 of that report. Hey, here's the repair addendum. And also I have attached the pages from the report that talks about which items are we requesting. That way, when the seller gets it, they're just not getting an addendum of somebody saying that they want something. They're getting an addendum and they're getting proof from that report that roof that we need a new roof. Right? So we did the repair addendum, send it. They might negotiate, say, hey, seller's gonna do number 1 and number 2, number 3, they're not gonna do. He's not gonna replace the floor, but he is gonna replace the roof. You go back to your buyer, hey, he's willing to do the roof, not the floor. Normally the buyer will say, hey, I'll do the floor, the roof is more important. Once that part is negotiated, then we're moving to the purchase and sales agreement, the P&S. Again, when you make an offer, the date for the purchase and sales agreement is going to be expressed in the offer. So you want to make sure that in the process of you doing that inspection and negotiating, you don't pass that deadline. Because all these dates, we need to make sure that we're tracking them. And if we're not going to make these dates, we want to make sure that we communicate with the listing agent in this case and say, hey, we're going to need an extension, and you want to send a proper extension.
What's the typical time period from the offer, accepted offer to the P&S?
15 days. Okay. Because you're getting 10 days by law to do an inspection. And then we're calculating 5 days of negotiations of repair. Normally 15 days. Don't allow those 15 days to land on a Saturday or a Sunday. Make sure that they land on a weekday. And don't land it on a Monday. Because attorneys are not gonna, during the weekend, they're not gonna be working on your pianos. So on Monday, you're just gonna be asking for another extension. I always land on a Tuesday. You know, if 15 days is a Friday, you know, I'll use that Friday. If it ends on a Saturday, I'll move it all the way to Tuesday. Because I have to be reasonable. Because these attorneys, this is not the only deal that they do. They do many deals. So you want to make sure that they have the time to get that. So now, seller's attorney and buyer's attorney are negotiating the terms for the purchase and sales agreement, right? So once it's done, right, and they have finalized that document, they're gonna say, okay, the document is final, is ready for signature.
Excuse me, that buyer's attorney is for the buyer, not the bank's attorney.
So whoever represents the buyer, it is also representing the bank. In some cases, there's gonna be there's gonna be banks that they're gonna require you to use their specific attorney. So when you get a pre-approval from a bank that you normally don't use, ask the loan officer, hey, can we use any of our preferred attorneys? Or do you guys, or we need to use one of your attorneys? Because there's a few companies out there that you can only use their attorneys.
Okay, otherwise they can get their own, and the seller obviously has their own attorney because there's no bank. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Some sellers, they don't even use an attorney. I have an investor that he says his own attorney.
But he's an investor.
He's a knowledgeable person. So you can come across a knowledgeable person. In New Hampshire, attorneys are not used as often. It's title companies like in California. So but we're sticking to Massachusetts. So the attorneys finalize negotiating the PNS. Now you as a buyer's agent, you're going to send this document to your buyer for signature. That buyer already had a conversation with their attorneys and their attorney gave them a green light to sign. Always, 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 always read the purchase and sales agreement. Attorneys are human, they can make mistakes, all right? Make sure that all the terms that you put on the offer and the terms that their client needs to have over there, if they're getting closing costs, if the property is being vacant, anything that they get, make sure that it's on that purchase sales agreement, read it. The attorneys can say everything is ready, perfect. Read it over, and if you don't think that it's correct, talk. You know, reach out to the attorneys. Hey, if you think you're gonna sound stupid, I'd rather sound stupid than make a mistake. Hey, you know, just to be clear, I don't see this and that, or this clause or this. They might say, hey, yeah, it's in the writer, it's here, it's there. Or they're gonna say, oh, we missed it. Like it's happened a bunch of times. You know, that they missed it. So read it. It's your responsibility to make sure that your client is signing the correct document, because you're the one sending.
So that's 15 days from the acceptance of the offer to agreement of the PNS,
To signing the agreement.
to signing the agreement.
Yeah, so prior to that, the attorney should be working on the
And if
agreement.
you can't come to an agreement, we just ask for an extension.
You ask for an extension. Hey, you know, as attorneys are still negotiating PNS, let's extend the signing of PNS until Tuesday.
And you would ask the listing agent.
You will ask the listing agent, you will send the listing agent an extension of time for PNS.
Okay.
Sometimes the attorneys, they're very easy to work with, and in between them and via emails, they will say, hey, let's use this email as an official extension to sign PNS on the 12th, and then you as an agent don't have to do anything because the attorneys agree in between them. I would say having a good relationship with an attorney, that's the attorney that you use, and asking the attorney, hey, I want to make sure that you take care of extensions is gonna work a lot in your favor, because attorneys can do that. They can send an email and say, hey, in between us, we're agreeing on extending X date until this date. And it becomes an official extension if they agree via email. So that offset all the paperwork. So your clients agree, he signs the purchase sales agreement, we send it to the listing agent. Once the listing agent sends that purchase sales agreement fully executed, signed by their seller, buys it again. Now, your client, your buyer needs to deliver a second deposit check. That is also going to be described in your offer. your offer is gonna say first deposit check is $1,000. Second deposit check is $9,000, so use a number. It's all gonna be at the discretion of the client, the deposits. That is just another training of how to do strong offers. The second deposit is a strong deposit. It makes it a strong offer.
And that's gonna be like 24 hours after the PNS is signed.
That's supposed to be upon delivery of PNS. So once you get that PNS, you better run and drop that second check.
Okay, so you should have the check in your hand ready.
Yeah. So what I do is I request my clients, hey, we sign PNS. You remember how we did the other check? Same format, just different amount. Go and deliver in the same address. I always ask my clients to go and deliver those checks.
They deliver it, no.
No. Before I used to go and pick it up and deliver and do all these stuff, but they're fine. They're doing the process. They got feel they actually doing the work. They can go and deliver that. And it's a personal check. Less liability, not dealing with people's money. The safer the better. We are handling the transition of people's biggest assets. The less liability that we can come across or be in front of, the best, because we basically juggle knife when we're doing a transaction. A little tiny thing that you do, it can mess up somebody's sale of a house, purchase of a house, and you can be liable, depending your mistake. So that's why I decided to stay away from checks and stuff like that.
So you tell, because I'm surprised that this you asked your client, the buyer, to go to the listing agent's office.
Yeah, they're just gonna walk in here and say, hey, this check is for Tom. Boom, and you can go. They don't need to do anything else. They just drop it off the check. Normally they have a lockbox there. Don't you just drop it in the lockbox and go. Most offices just have a Dropbox. They drop it and they'll say, I always ask the listing agent, you have a Dropbox? Yes. Okay, great. Where is it located? Around here. Tell my client, hey, there's a Dropbox. Put it attention to the agent. Drop it off.
That buyers would agree to that too, because I could see a buyer saying, well, what am I paying you for? I'll give you the check and take it.
Yeah, and that's great that you come up. And what I say is, yeah, normally, I would, but the thing is, it's so important, it's your money, that I want to make sure that, I don't keep them in my car. What about if it gets lost and all that? I'd rather you drop it off, so it could be more, now explain it like that. And you're gonna come across people like that once every month. When I call you and I tell you, hey, offer accepted, you're like, yeah, I can tell you, hey, you gotta go to New York to give me an ice cream for this. You gotta go to New York, give me an ice cream. If you don't want to go drop off a check of a property that you're buying, you got issues. Okay, right there and then I'll tell you, hey, you got issues. We're starting, but you got issues because you got an offer accepted. I'd rather not deal with that. And you shouldn't, because nothing under this world but Murphy's Law. Right. Anything. What about if you lose the check? Nobody can cash it. But the information of that account is there. Anybody can grab it, utilize it to clone the card, to pay anything online, and then who had that check?
Yeah.
You.
Okay.
So
very good.
We deliver the second check, right? Great. We want to keep a copy of the second check. We always keep copies of every check. And when you're making copies of these checks, please cover the account number. All right? So like a sticky note, cover it.
You have a check. You said the PNS is going to be signed. You have the buyer. We need to get the buyer write a check. You make a copy of the check, blocking all the routing information.
What I do is I tell my client, take a picture of the check. Once I receive the picture, I block it, or I tell them, hey, when you take the picture with a little paper,
block it out.
Block your account number and just send me the check. They can get any sheet of paper, put it on top of it, and take the pictures. Protect your clients.
They send you a picture, but they always have. You never possess the original check.
Never. I asked them to go and deliver it. I only want a picture, making sure that it was done. You're going to deliver it. And nobody will send the picture to the listing agent. Hey, the check is on the way. Here's a picture of the check. Here's a copy of the check.
You would do that?
Yeah, and you're supposed to share pictures. Normally, when they get it, they scan it and send a picture back. Here in the office, when the check is deposited, they scan it and send you a picture, because it's part of the documents that you need in order for compliance.
But when you get the copy and I don't mean to beat this, but these are the kinds of details.
Yeah.
You get a copy, they send you a photo of the check with the pertinent information blacked out. And then you send that picture to the listing agent?
Yeah.
Okay, so you say, hey, we got the check.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
coming.
it's coming, here's a check. And also here in KW, for compliance, let's say when you're about to do a closing, there's certain documents they need to submit to the market center for them to verify the transaction and actually pay. And the pictures of those checks are part of the documents you need to submit. The bank needs those copies of those checks also to see that those, what they call the EDMs, were provided as well. And sometimes they want to get proof that it was deposited and cleared. Those for banks, right? So we did the PNS, we provided a second check, what's next? So now the bank is gonna send an appraisal to the property, to the bank. That appraisal is paid by our buyer, costs about $700, right? It's a cost of our buyer. So the bank will contact the buyer, get a credit card or a debit card to pay for that appraisal. The inspection, also the buyer pays for it, which is another about $700. You know, I'm talking about properties 3,000 square feet or 4,000 square feet. If it's bigger, you know, smaller would be less. Snap. So the bank is going to send that appraisal to the property. That appraisal company is going to contact the listing agent, right? The listing agent. The listing agent is going to meet with the appraiser at the property to open the doors and allow the appraisal to go through the property. The appraiser is going to finalize the report and it's going to send it to the bank. The bank gets it to the buyer. The seller never gets this report, all right? Unless the property comes below what we have negotiated. So after the appraisal, we're going to get three answers. The property, well, two answers basically. The property appraised. That means that the property either appraised at the value we negotiated or higher. And if it comes below, they will say, hey, the property came in at X amount. You will know the exact number.
That's the mortgage.
The value of the property,
The value.
appraisal,
So that's the selling price.
the selling price, right? The
The
selling.
listing agent doesn't know that information.
The listing agent never gets the report of the, unless the property comes below the value negotiated. So you as a buyer's agent have to contact that listing agent, say, hey, we negotiated the property at $100,000, but the appraisal came in at $90,000. Here is a copy of the report, obviously. At that moment, you have to share this report. You know, you're gonna ask your buyer, hey, can I have a copy of the report? And you're gonna notify your buyer that you will be sharing that report with the seller to provide proof that this property came in below asking price. And you wanna say, hey, you know, submit it very nicely. Say, hey, you know, this is the report. Let me know if your buyer is okay with the price reduction so we can get an addendum going. I always say that, right? An addendum will be after the appraisal report, the appraisal came back at X amount of dollars, buyer and seller agreed to update the new sale price at $90,000 for the sale of X, Y, and Z. Buyer signs first, seller signs last, is fully executed, and it gets shared with attorneys and the bank that needs to see that this new agreement that the property is going to be sold at the new price. The seller can say, I'm not going to sell, and he can walk away. The buyer can say, I'm going to pay the difference if he still wants the property. Now, here's a nice trick. If it's an FHA loan, that price is going to stick to that property for 6 months, right? So that price is going to stick there for 6 months. So when it comes to FHA, it's like, all right, so if you don't sell to me, you're still going to have to sell for the same amount in the next 6 months. So and then
FHA.
for an FHA loan, they can go back to the market, try to sell it to a conventional, they're going to request a new. But if they list the property, it's another thing for you to keep track. They say no to you and they want to list the property back, they must disclose the FHA case number.
Even if they're gonna try to put it back on the market.
If they're gonna put it back in the market, they gotta say that it was because, they gotta say that it was because of the appraisal And they have to provide the FHA case number if it's an FHA.
Okay, so that's it. I'm so glad I came. So house goes on the market, offer, they go through the whole thing. It's an FHA loan. FHA says, no way. Everybody walks away. Seller puts it back on the market, hoping for a conventional buyer.
He has to disclose what happened.
They have to disclose that it was rejected because of an FHA appraisal.
And they have to provide an FHA case number.
Oh,
Right? So a lender will be able to get this FHA case number and pull this report and know exactly what was what.
Would you have to disclose it even if you listed it again, like 5, 10 years later?
No, because at 6 months,
Oh, 6
that
months, okay.
expires.
Okay.
So 6 months, and I've had clients that said, hey, I'm not gonna sell. Like 2019, it didn't appraise. 2020 came in, skyrocketed the property. After the 6 months he listed, it was able to sell it for even more than what he wanted before. You know,
but he still had to disclose the FHA.
he didn't because already 6
Most
months
was
passed
not.
already. You know, if you're putting it back, you have to disclose it. So I learned that from a veteran agent that put me on to that because you want to do good by your client and you want to make sure that your client is not taking advantage. So appraisal, we're done with the appraisal, right? After the appraisal is done, now the bank has everything that they need in order to do the underwriting. That is basically analyze the buyer's finances and all finances condition to make sure that that buyer really will be able to pay for that property. Once they finalize that, they're going to give you what is called a commitment letter. Now, the commitment date is the most important date of that buyer's transaction. Why? Because if you don't have commitment by commitment date, all those deposits that you've given can go down the drain. Your buyer can lose the money. So you want to make sure when you're doing a transaction, the commitment date, you have a tattoo on your wrist. You want to have that tattoo right here. You want to look at it every day. You want to know that that's your debt. You're going to be dead after
And the commitment date is determined when?
is on the offer as well. All these dates are placed by you, the buyer agent, on the offer. So since day one, you will have all these dates. For next training, I will bring an offer, and we can look at I don't have my laptop.
What was the timeline?
I would have pulled it up and go by the. But yeah, I can definitely do it. So commitment. If this is the rule, I always check commitment, right? I put the commitment day in my calendar. Every day I check my calendar and I see what is due. And I always check my calendar 3 days forward. You know, if there's anything expiring in the next 3 days or any special date that I need to pay attention in the next 3 days. And I check for that twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I check all my dates of all the transactions we have, and we have about 40 under agreement. So I sit down and I go through all of those from top to bottom. Commitment day is getting close, right? 3 days before I contact my lender, the lender that is representing my buyer. 3 days before, 3 days, business days before. Saturday and Sunday don't count. 3 business days. Hey, do we have commitment is coming up in the next 3 business days? Do you think that we're gonna have commitment? Right? And let me know if you need an extension and until when. We always want to ask out because we don't want to wait until the last day to ask for an extension because we can lose our clients' money.
That's when you call the bank asking about the commitment.
Bank, you know, send them an email. Hey, in the next 3 business days is commitment day. Are we gonna have commitment? You know, if they say yes, all right. But the day before, if we don't have commitment the day before, I'm filing for an extension. Even if that lender tells me, oh no, I'm gonna have it for tomorrow, because 9 out of 10, they're gonna hit you up at 3, 4 in the afternoon.
Do
Hey,
they
we're gonna
always
need an
respond?
extension. Huh?
Do they always respond when you ask that?
Yeah, normally they'll respond because if I'm working with a lender that doesn't respond, I stop working.
So if you don't get a response, You ask for the.
Oh, no, I
extension.
will harass them and I will ask the extension regardless.
Right.
I'll contact my client, hey, I'm not getting a reply from the lender. I'm gonna send you an extension because if we don't do the extension, we will lose your money. Sign it. Hey, Mr. Listing Agent. He is the extension for my client. You know, the bank said that they're going to, but they're not
I
replying.
don't have it.
They don't have it, and I just want to make sure that I protect my client. Again, when asking for an extension, don't use Saturdays, don't use Sundays, don't use Mondays. If you're gonna use a date, use Tuesday. Provide at least that one day, that Monday, for the bank to organize themselves and get that commitment going. You know, then Tuesday they can deliver, right? That way you don't put yourself in a situation that you gotta be asking for another extension, because on Monday, this lender decided to go partying on Sunday, and he's all hungover on Monday. Like, you really gonna, Tuesday, everybody's like back in the game, right? Tuesday is the day that you wanna do everything, even like musicians, you know, on Tuesday is the day that all album music comes out, because it's the best day of the week, Tuesday. Right? That's why we use Tuesday, right? I list properties on Tuesdays, not on Mondays, not on. Today, go check out. I put my 2 new listings today. Tuesday is the best day. People are already in the work week, you know, that they're not stressing, oh, it's Monday. You know, life is ready, you know, it's Tuesday. Let's make it happen.
This is off topic, but it's my understanding that when you sign a listing contract, you have 24 hours to put that in MLS.
Well, yes. I'll say yes, right? But again, in 24 hours, like let's say I sit down and you sign, right? In 24 hours, I can get my photographer, my matterport, my drones, edit the pictures, upload it on MLS, and a bunch of other stuff. Like it's unrealistic, you know, to think that way, right? Because it takes me a week to prepare all my marketing material. My big forte is marketing. I have a marketing director. It would take a whole day designing stuff, you know, for us to make sure we sell that the right way. I can't get that done in 24 hours. So what I do is I sit down with you, I let you know, hey, we're listing on Monday. And in the contract, I make sure that we express Monday, right? And we sign the contract, give me enough time to actually prepare and do a good job. Because I'm just not gonna list it with a cell phone picture from outside.
So you would say, we're gonna list, you tell me we're gonna list on, I'm gonna put this in MLS on Tuesday. So we signed the contract. How about coming soon?
I don't do coming soon.
Okay,
I don't do coming soon. I was having agents going behind my back and talking to the sellers. Hey, I know you're going to the market, how much you're charging? I'll charge you less. And I'll have people call me and say, hey, I want to cancel. And then try to sell it behind my back. So there's a lot of dirty stuff happening. So I don't do coming soon anymore. It's either on or off, you know. I don't do coming soon. I don't let them know I'm coming. I just get there. All right. So we are at commitment letter. Make sure that those extension for commitment letter, guys, like you will remember this training if you mess up and with the commitment. Trust me, because I have, and it's costly. We just lost what, $10,000 last month on a commitment. That's not easy, you know. And we have agents that at least I had the commission that I could put it for my commission. We have an agent that she has to put it out of pocket. That's worse, all right? So
why did you care for commitment?
because we were responsible, we didn't pay attention, and we didn't ask for the extension on time. Okay, that's exactly why.
How much time do you need for an extension?
If you send it before the 12 midnight, it's bad. Right? So commitment is today. If by today at midnight, I send you an extension, we're back.
You're in trouble.
No, it's a valid extension.
Oh, okay.
You know, so but you don't want to wait until late at night.
Right.
You know? That's just a legal term, you know. But you want to make sure that you have a conversation with the listing agent. The seller has to know time to sign it, acknowledge that we do need an extension, it's gonna send it back. We just don't want, you know, we want to make sure we keep track. You know, when you're doing 1 deal, 2 deals, 3 deals, it's beautiful because you have all your commitments there. And you guys are getting, you know, got into real estate not to be average, you want to be good. You know, being good is having a couple of transactions at the same time going on. Commitment is, I don't know how much I should stress. Commit, guys, like freaking commit. And closing day as well, but that's something that the attorney will take care of. So we have commitment letter, beautiful. When we have commitment letter, now the next thing it will be the clear to close. That's when the bank says, we are clear to close. The closing will be Tuesday at 2 p.m. Right? What you want to do as a buyer's agent? You want to contact the buyer, say congratulations, you're clear to close. Now let's prepare you to take possession of this property. How are we going to prepare them? We want to make sure that I know that not all listing agents are paying attention to what they need to do. I'll call the listing agent and say, hey, we're closing on Tuesday. Do we have a set of copies of keys? Copy of keys that you're going to be bringing? If it's a multifamily, there's a rent adjustment going on, right? So if I'm buying the property the 15th and that month has 30 days, now I'm gonna own this property for the next 15 days of that month. That seller already collected rent. I own the next 15 days. So there has to be a rent adjustment, right? So we have to do the rent adjustment. There's also, let's say the property has oil or propane. That oil, your buyer needs to buy it off the seller. It doesn't come with the property. So we need to go and measure and see how much does that tank have? 3/4, half a tank. And we contact the company servicing the tank and say, hey, what is half a tank's worth? This tank is 20 gallons, 10 gallons. What is 10 gallons? 10 gallons is $400, just to use a number. So now your buyer has to buy $400 worth of oil from that seller. So that is a oil adjustment, all right? A rent adjustment, right? And we want to do a final walkthrough. A final walkthrough, we want to do it 24 hours before the closing. And what we want to do for the walkthrough, we want to grab that repair addendum. You guys remember that repair addendum that we did and what we want to be repaired? And we're gonna bring it to our final walk. And that's your list. Broken window in the first floor that I mentioned. Let's go to the first floor. Let's go to the first bedroom. Let's see the broken window. It was replaced. Check. Roof. It was done. Where is the proof that it was done by a licensed contractor? Let me see the permit that it was pulled for the licensed contractor. And if it was done by a licensed contractor, it has warranty. Supposed to get that.
What is that called again? Repair what?
Repair addendum. It's a repair request. An addendum is any changes to a contract. So when you see, hey, are you gonna send the addendum? It's any changes that's being made to a contract. So that's your checklist when you go to final walk. You go to final walk, everything is nice and done. Everything was done correctly, perfect. If there's stuff missing from that repairs that needed to be done, do not close the deal. All right? You call the attorney representing your client and say, hey, the window is not there. The roof is not done. My client doesn't want to close. Or my client is asking for a credit of X amount of dollars so he can do it. Or my client is asking for a holdback. A holdback is that from the proceeds, the gains, the money, the profit of that seller, the attorneys are going to keep a certain amount of money. They're going to close the deal, but they're going to hold that money until that client goes and fix what he has to fix. For example, he didn't do the roof. He did everything else. The roof is $15,000. We're going to hold $15,000 until he sends a company to get the roof done.
But how long can you hold that?
You can hold, then and that will be expressed on the holdback. 30 days, 60 days. 30 days. If in 30 days, let's say, he doesn't fix that roof, those $15,000 will come to your client, and your client can use that money to fix that roof. So we're gonna hold back anything, the amount that it will cost to fix whatever we didn't get done. So super important final walk to make sure that your client is getting the property that the property is in the stage status that you're requesting.
Can that affect the appraisal?
What?
the fact that the roof wasn't done.
Well, the appraisal will say something when they do it at the moment, like for FHA appraisals, they will say, needs to be, they will say it right.
So you can't get past FAA by having all that.
There are holdbacks that you can get an FHA. They don't do it on boilers. They do it on roof.
Okay.
Chip paints, they do holdbacks on chip paints, and I say they do because I've done it, right? They do it on that. What else? I know that they denied it on a heating system. They say no, they don't heat. That was what I got. So once it's clear to close, we did the final wall. We make sure that everything was correct. If things were not correct, we hold that closing and we request a holdback. Or we say, hey, then we change in the closing X amount of days, but doing a new roof is gonna take a long time. You extending that closing until the roof gets done, it might hurt your client because your client gets something that is called a rate. And that rate is locked. And when it's locked for a specific period of time. If they don't close after the date that the rate is locked, or the expiration date of that rate, they will have to pay a penalty per day. Sometimes it's like $60 a day, to keep that same rate. So you don't want to do that to your clients. So you have to be smart in that part and say, hey, let's do a holdback. I know that roof is going to be 15,000. Let's ask for 20. Let's hold 20. If he doesn't do it, I know that we can call a contractor, pay them, and they'll get up there and do it. And we have the money to pay them. But let's say that everything was done. You go to your table, always bring a little gift for your buyers, make it something special. Give them a nice gift. They trusted you with their money, with their commitment. They trusted you this whole way. They deserve something nice. Do the closing. Also advise your client to contact all utilities before the closing. Like the day before, hey, contact the gas, contact your electrical, contact your cable provider, and let them know that you're moving into the property, right? Make sure that you tell the listing agent, make sure your seller is disconnecting all the utilities. If they don't disconnect the utility, you can come and connect yours, right?
When you say disconnect, you mean just transfer?
Transfer, yeah. Call, hey, I sold the house. My closing is tomorrow. Please disconnect my gas. Once everything is done, go to the closing. Take a nice picture with your client. Upload it to social media because that's all the friends of that client is gonna try to work with you. All your friends are gonna see that yes, he is a realtor. He is doing deals, right? He is closing. Look, he just sold the house. I should buy a house, man. I've been slacking. That motivates people. And follow up with your client. Like after the closing, I would say the next day, give them a call. Hey, how's the moving going on? After a week, give them a call. Hey, how was your first week? And after a month, give them a call. Hey, how was your month? But right there, those are the best time to ask them for a referral. Always ask for a referral. You did a good job. Ask for a review. When I ask for a review, when I call them and I tell them that they got an offer accepted. Because that's the moment of happiness. That's the very peak. Getting an offer accepted and closing, offer accepted, they're happy. Then closing. Because closing, they already know that house is going to be theirs. Like they're already good. But the offer, they don't know if they're actually going to get it. So when you say, hey, offer accepted, yeah, yes, we got to do a check, we're going to do an inspection. Hey, I'm going to send you a link. Can you give me a review? Of course, they're going to give you a review, right? But let's say you ask them to give you a review at closing after you finish doing the holdback because that roof still has a huge hole. How do you think that review is going to go? Right? They're not going to be that motivated to finish that review. Plus, if you ask when the offer gets accepted, you already saw the whole process that we got to go through. Every single time I talk to them, hey, you have another review. Hey, you have another review. Hey, you have another review. And you guys will be amazed. After I started doing that, how many clients I get through Realtor.com. I have a ton of reviews there. And people say, hey, I just read your review and I want to work with you. Boom. One of the guys in the team grabbed them boom, put another contract, then they go and put another review, and they had a good experience. So that helps, to have good reviews. Boom, and we close that. So that's the whole process, all right? We have 9 more minutes. You want me to go over anything on lead gen or anything on you personal that you want me to cover?
That was excellent, by the way.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. You need to do this once a week.
Once we.
I want you to have it once a week.
Oh, wow.
Because you hit all the little details that
Yeah.
can get people tripped up. You didn't do it up here. You did it right down here, close to the ground. And
Yeah.
that was very good. So once a week.
Good, well, you asked me if you have any questions.
I may take you up on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's an effective way to keep up with someone who says, I want to work with you, but I'm not gonna do anything till 2022, or a couple of months?
So what I do is, I'll send them I'll add them to MLS, right? I'll add them to MLS. And I have 2 types of people, people that are pre-approved. I have 2 types of people that are pre-approved, the just looking or the actively looking. The actively looking, I'm gonna follow up with them daily or every 2 days.
Now, when you say you put them into MLS, what does that mean?
Multiple listing service.
No, what does it mean? Put them in, they're just looking, I'm not ready to do anything.
I'll start sending them properties, right? You're just looking, but when you're looking, what are you gonna be looking for?
Okay,
I'm gonna be looking for a condo, single family with a backyard. So add them to MLS because it happened to me. I was not planning.
But you're adding.
I was not planning to buy a house.
You're using the MLS CRM.
Yeah, so MLS is the multiple listing service. That's where all the properties are there for sale. You should have your clients there because any property that hits the market, MLS is gonna make sure that they get it. They're gonna get an email from you. You don't have to do that email every morning at 5 something in the morning.
So if they're not under contract, you just put them in there and.
I don't put them on the contract. I start sending them deals, properties. I'll say, hey, I tell them, I'm just gonna start sending you what is on the market. For whenever you're ready, or if you see something that it motivates you, I want you to be up to date with what is going on, what properties are selling for, and the type of properties that you're interested in. Right? So that way, when he said, I'm ready, he already knows that a single family is 350. And that's all. That's it.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Right? And he can, what I was gonna say happened to me, I was not planning to buy a property. But I was like in realtor.com or something like that, and I saw a house. I was like, oh, wow. It was just motivating me. I should buy a property. It got me in that mood like a long time ago. And the same thing happens to people. Hey, you just sent me a house. Oh, the house is nice. What I need to do? You need to get pre-approved. All right, send me the number of the bank. I talk to them. Open house on Saturday. Boom, they're on the contract. But if they're not seeing the product, for example, when you're watching football, you look like a football guy, right? You don't like football, any sports?
Baseball.
I'm a baseball guy. So watching baseball, right? And you in a commercial Coca-Cola, pouring a nice Coke on ice, it makes you want to drink a Coke. Even if you don't drink Coke, you're like, I should have a Coke and a burger. It makes, when you see a nice house, you want it, and it will motivate. And that's what we're here to do, to motivate. Today I did a training with my team with objection handlers. What you're talking about is objection handlers, right? You know what I would do with somebody like that? I would say, hey, totally understand 2022. But in today's state, we have the lowest interest rate that we've seen of all time. You really do not want to take advantage of the lowest interest rate out there because tomorrow is not promised. What do you think? That the interest rate are going to keep on going lower? Are they going to go to zero? They're going to go to zero. Take advantage of it now. I saw interest rate right now 2.7. Ridiculous. Amazing. 2.7. That means that for like $430,000, you're going to pay like $2,400. Super cheap. Super cheap. That means almost $1 million is less than $5,000. Right? So I will go there with the objection handler and say, hey, right now, why don't we do this? Why don't we get you pre-approved? Right? That's the question. Why don't we get you pre-approved so you see how much it will cost you now? And we can then calculate how it's gonna get, how much it's gonna cost you in a year when the interest rates go back up to like 3, 4, 5, like they were, in 2017, 2018. And it's gonna be more expensive for you to buy. Right now, it's the best time because the interest rate has low. So I would say practice objection handlers, because people have objections for everything. People say no 4 times before they say yes. Yesterday, I was in a radio interview, right? And they were asking a really fresh question to a lady, right? It was super fresh. It was like a sexual question that they were asking. And then the next topic, it was real estate. So they were having, a regular talk show, and then they had this lady on the phone, and they were asking a really tough question. And she said, "No, that's private." And I tapped on the host of the show, and I told him the question again. He asked the question again, and the lady answered. Then she opened up on something personal on live radio. Thousands and thousands of people listen. So what does that tell you? People are always gonna say no. But if you ask again, they're gonna say yes. So always ask for the business again. Add them to MLS. Hey, listen, you know what? I'm adding to MLS. And I would like for you to at least have a conversation with my lender. For him to tell you where the interest rate are going, and the lender has more information than you, manage the finances better than you, and he will be able to tell him why now is the best time to buy. That's what I want. Kevin, something that you would like for me to cover as the process of buying, buyers, lead generation, or anything?
As far as lead generation, because now I've started, when I started lead generating for listings. More than
Yeah.
for buyers.
Which he got a listing that I'm at the buying in Maynard.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
Well, since I started with listings, I wasn't very, concerned about, lead generating for buyers.
Yeah.
So now that I'm learning to lead generate for buyers, like there's things that I can take advantage of, like specifically like Facebook, for example.
Yeah.
How do you lead generate for buyers directly to Facebook?
So they're directed to Facebook. So what I did in Facebook was that Facebook has a limit of how many messages you can send to somebody, 60 a day, and then they block your account. I know because they block me every day. So I would send 60 messages until I got blocked. So I prepare a message. Let's say you have a business card, right? Your digital business card?
Yeah.
I'll grab that digital business card and I'll create a message like, "Hey, it's Kevin Nunez from the Liriano team at KW. I know you know me. Just want to let you know that I'm in real estate and I've been helping families, sell and buy a property. If a friend or a family needs help, please, I will be more than happy to assist them, and I will be happy to refer them." You don't have to say the same thing, but you can paraphrase in the vicinities of what I just said, And you want to send it to everybody that you have out. Get into your friends and start sending to each one of them. You want to post it. You want to put it on your post. You want to put it on your story. But then you want to send it directly to your people, right? That's one. There's a lot of topics that gets people talking. I noticed that when I started lead generating for buyers, which their buyers are low hanging fruit. I always say, hey, it's a very low hanging fruit. It's easier to get a buyer than to get a seller. So I would say anybody that is starting, kill the low hanging fruit. Go for the buyers. Go for the buyers, because you're going to be able to make money fast. You're going to be able to get a lot of buyers fast. But once you have a lot of buyers and you have made a good couple of dollars, and you decide that you want to switch to start now looking for listings, then it's a good time for you to focus, because it's going to take time for you to master the craft of getting listings, and you're going to need time, and buyers take a lot of time. Like I remember showing freaking like 12 houses in one day. I remember almost going through a tank of gasoline in one day, like showing houses in Boston, Lynn, Worcester, here, there. What's going on all over the place?
Nice to get tries.
Buyers. So what I do is that I online, I run ads on Facebook through command, which is they're very effective. And there's been a lot of trainings on that, and there's pre-recorded trainings that the Market Center have. If you don't know how to get to them, ask me, and I can point you exactly the link where you can see how those ads are ran. I'll be more than happy to teach a class on how to run those ads. So I would run ads, but when it comes to Facebook organically without spending money, I will create posts about, credit repair, rent versus buying. Interest rate are very low. And what I used to do is I used to go to Google and write rent versus buying, and a picture will come up. A nice flyer will come up, right? And I'll pick one that didn't have a logo from another company, that is just plain. And I'll grab that, post it on social media, and write down, if you need help with your credit, I'll be more than happy to help you fix your credit and buy any house, right? So I affiliated myself with somebody to fix credit. Hey, I'm gonna send it to you. Here's a person that will help them fix their credit, bring it back to me, get them pre-approved, sell the house. That is the topic that gets most people talking, credit repair. Because a lot of people want to repair their credit for what? To buy a house. It's nothing else you need credit for. Because a car, like there's people that they ask me, are they gonna pull my credit? I'm like, the only reason you want people to pull your credit is to buy a house, not for that Macy's car that you just got, So, I reach out to everybody, letting them know that I'm in real estate. And I try to put out a lot of content in Facebook. And content is you can even go and search on Google. Post ideas for realtors or social media. You write that sentence, and you're gonna get so many freaking links in Google. That right now, today, I was looking at materials for the training that I was doing with my guys, and it was rebuttals, right? So people objections, and I found 105 real estate objections. I was like, I didn't even know there was 180, 105 reasons why to say no. And I started going through all of them and pick those, ideas and post. And you want to post at specific times. For example, you want to post at 12 p.m. People are at lunch looking at their phone. You want to post at 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, because people come out of work and they pull their phone. All right. Weekends, 3 p.m. is the best time to post. If you are religious about when you're going to be posting and purposeful, let's say put yourself like, okay, every week I'm going to do 1 post a day. That means 7 posts. So I'm gonna sit down on Monday and I'm gonna look for 7 pictures, and I'm gonna save it in my phone, and I'm gonna put a reminder in my phone to put a picture every day at 12 or every day at 6. I bet you that if you do it consistently for 30 days, you're gonna have so many people contact you that they need help, that they have a question, that a friend of them, that their mom, that their dad. And you know what's the sweet part? When somebody comes and say, hey, I want to buy a new house, but the thing is I gotta sell my house. You have 2 deals right now. I sent a postcard, like those mailers here in South Lawrence. A lady called me, she was like, hey, I want a home evaluation. I got your postcard. It's free? I'm like, yeah, it's free. I did the home evaluation, and she said, yeah, but I need to buy another house, and my husband has another house that we need to sell as well. So that's 3 houses that I need to sell. I have 2 houses that I need to, that's 3 deals. A house that I gotta buy and 2 houses that I gotta sell. And I paid for that flyer, it was like $1.50. Obviously I sent 1,000, and I spent $1,000 sending that flyer. A couple of people called me, 1 became a deal, but if I tell you, hey, give me $1,000 and I'll give you 3 deals. You give me that $1,000 anything. So there's a lot of ways to generate leads organic. You don't need to spend money. But once you start making money, start creating yourself a budget. 10% of whatever you make, put it on the side on a kitty, and that is going to be the money that you want to use for marketing and to push yourself out there, right? But you have to be consistent. You can't post today and expect that, oh, nobody called me. People gotta see that you are about what you're doing. Oh wow, he became a realtor out of the blue. You think he knows what he knows? Grab videos from other people that are talking about mortgages and stuff like that. Just don't tag them or anything like that. But post it. Say, hey, check this information. Great information from them. If you have more questions, reach out to me. And what I did was when I started, there was so many people reaching out because I had an advantage that I was in the radio. So when I said it in the radio, hey, call me, there was a few people that know me, so they took the chance and gave me the opportunity. But I didn't have experience to be able to answer any questions. So every single time you get a question that you don't know, just say, that's an amazing question. Do you mind if I contact my attorney just to make sure, or my lender, just to make sure that we take the right decision when it comes to this? I'm in a meeting right now. I always tell them, hey, great question. I'm in a meeting. Mind if I call you back? Yeah. Not in a meeting, just didn't know what to say. I'll call my attorney, ask my attorney, hey, this is the situation. My team leader, my mentor, who the heck I can ask the question and help the person. The fact that you don't know the answer doesn't mean you're gonna help them. So anything that anybody needs from real estate, whether you know it or not, you can help. Because you might not know, but you know who you're gonna ask.
What radio station are you on?
I am in WNNW. And I'm in, that's Power 800, and I'm in, that's 102.9 FM. And I'm also on 91.5 FM. Right. Any other questions, guys? Anything else you'd like me to go over? Right. We went over 7 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. I went over.
It was worth it.
And,
Thank you.
It wasn't lead gen, but we were a small group. I wanted to
It was
make it
perfect.
useful for you guys.
It was perfect. Thank you
All
very
right,
much, sir.
guys, thank you for watching.